So now let's do this. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I think we can do a very quick panel discussion. I know a couple of questions have come in. So can I request all of my panelists? Can I request Nicholas, Niveda, Nihar, and Father Noel to grace us with their presence on the dais, please? That's okay. That's okay. Absolutely fine. I'll sit here. Don't worry. I think that's absolutely fine. Go ahead. All right. Thank you. I think it was very enriching for me personally to hear about everything that you folks are doing. Let me start by asking a question, Father Noel. How does one collaborate with you? People may be interested in working with you for the endeavor that you have, sustainable inclusion. How does one, for young people who are in our audience today, can they work with you, internships? What are other means to do that? Can we get the mic?
Hello. Yeah, that's a very pertinent question to me. That's also a puzzle which I have to post before everyone, which I was trying to present also in my presentation. Yeah, just for an example, now the COVID has brought this huge migrant problem across the country. We don't have a data, whether it's 100 million or 400 million or 10 million, nobody knows, and many of them. So where will we get the data? And we are trying to establish a pan-India migrant service desk, for example. For that, we need to set up biometrics, for example, and some MIS and data information management system where we can enroll and give them entitlement for their rights, and both at the source and the destination of the migrants. And if you go on to every sector, whether children who are left out of schools and child labor and all this, we are having a big challenge of studying the data and doing a data analysis, gathering the data.
True.
And how much of deep tech can help on this. Nivedita was talking about waste management. And some of the children we are working with, they are working for waste management.
Right.
And how can data and deep tech can help us to help make them also have a dignified type of work and also contribute to the society and be included and have a dignified life. So this is the challenge.
Okay, I'm sure I'm sure we'll get a lot of ideas today, basis what you presented, and of course with the people we have in the room here. I'm sure because I think you referred to Niveda as well, and I'm sure this is a puzzle, Niveda, you would have faced as well in terms of changing the behavior, changing the mindset. We did touch upon it briefly, and I definitely see a pertinent, relevant connection between the upliftment that you seem to bring in with sustainability from an inclusion point of view and improving or bettering the life for the kind of work you're doing. Any thoughts that you would like to share with us on that?
In fact, my journey started. I have visited a lot of Don Bosco facilities and I've spent a lot of time with the kids, and that's when I realized that there is a requirement to make lives of a lot of bottom of the pyramid better, and that can only happen with technology coming into the picture and scaling up their lives. So the youth, especially today, are very conscious. And they really want to create an impact. I think there's a lot of hope. I mean, it's not that they get out of the college and they immediately want to jump onto a job. They want to really try and see if they can solve some problem in the world. I think there's a lot of hope, Father. And if there is a way we can sort of pool in the problems and sort of send out challenges, that'll lure a lot of professionals as well as students to come up with solutions in partnerships with corporates. So we would love to collaborate on that. Thank you so much.
Excellent. So I now wanted to sort of, Nicholas, maybe bring the focus to you. Suez is doing a lot of things from what you shared, and I'm sure we did chat about it briefly prior to your presentation, that you work with startups. How do you any guidance, any thoughts on startups who are working in air quality, water management, waste treatment? Any thoughts on how they can approach you, or what you look into them, what you look into them from bringing them on board or working with them? Can you share some thoughts for it?
Yes, sure. So thank you. We consider working with startups as key in our innovation ecosystem at Suez. And we did the same in India as well, where we have been partnering with an accelerator, French accelerator, NUMA, to launch the first Data City challenge in Bangalore, to address, to solve a challenge of the water utility in Bangalore. And we have screened and selected one partner startup, one outstanding startup called SmartTerra, to co-design along with our municipal partner Suez and the startup, to co-design a solution, a digital solution to improve the revenue management of water bills and water consumption. So that is a way to partner with the startups. So we think it's very important to engage startups and also local communities to innovate and to co-create innovations, because this is the best way to be at the closest to the need, to be close to the need, and to develop the most efficient solutions and services for the citizens.
Excellent. I think a lot of startups are going to reach out to you, Nicholas, now that they've heard you. I think I'd really like to maybe post this also. Try and get some challenges from you, because that's something that we do at Brigade Repair, and we take challenges from corporates, and we then post that and find really good startups who are solving those, because then there is a very strong correlation, because there is companies which are looking to get those problems solved, and there are startups who are looking at solving that problem but need that focus, need that push, need that support. And I think I'd love to chat with you on that and see how we could work together. Changing gears, Nihar, you were sort of, I could feel you were sort of the odd man out. You brought in divine interference and all of that during your presentations. I'm going to ask you a question point blank. Do you believe realistically that overall wellness can be improved by radiation prevention? I believe it is, but what is the impact? Because this is one of those silent killers which not too many people are aware of. What are you doing about it? How do you bring it into the fold?
Awareness. Awareness, awareness, awareness. You can't feel it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, you can't hear it, but it's there. And the proof is that your cell phone is working. So unless you're aware of what you're doing, you're not going to be able to use it correctly. Just a small challenge to anybody who's watching this. Keep your cell phone in your hand for a few minutes. Your hand gets hot. The reason it gets hot is not because the battery in your cell phone is heating up, but it's because the microwave antenna on your cell phone is warming your hand. So basically, your hand is getting cooked. Now, look at it in terms of wellness. You're in a work environment, and when you're sitting in your office space and you are surrounded, there's a smorgasbord of radiation in your environment. You have IoT, you have communication requirements, you have neighbors, it's a smorgasbord, and you are affected. When you actually step out and go into a place which has no signal or less signal, your body starts recovering. You can actually feel it, you feel fresher. A lot of people get chronic fatigue now in modern workspaces because of the surrounding microwave radiation. Awareness is key. Know that you're surrounded. Know what the sources of radiation are. Avoid exposure to them. It's as simple as that. That's what we do. The first step is always awareness. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So you heard each other today. I know we all came from very diverse sort of viewpoints. And as I said, for me personally, it was very enriching. Any thoughts in general about what we discussed today? Maybe closing comments. from father? I think you're.
Yeah. I was listening to a lot of startups from yesterday onwards. Every time my mind was saying, this is a new innovation. What is the opportunity for the young people? In this startup, there's a new idea.
Right.
How do we train young people for this skill or this new opportunity which is coming up? So there is a great need for collaboration between the new innovative industry and the skill development. And today, the skill mission is some sort of come to a stagnation because there are no jobs. We were focusing on service sector so much, and today that is sort of saturated. But the whole lot of agricultural sector, which our country is there, how many startups? Yesterday we had this beautiful solar panel which is being monitored by the drone, etc. And how we can use that for agriculture, and how we train our young people to get interested in the agriculture and the new technology. So this is a big challenge. So how we can use these startups. That is one side of the training. And the other side is our country is having a huge demography of young people, which can be a dividend. And if you don't take care and give all these skill sets and training and use that human resource, it can be a demographic nightmare for all of us. And I also want to talk about the unorganized sector. When we are talking here, we are talking about the formal sector where everything is happening. And when you talk about economic sustainability, the economics of India, 50% of GDP is coming from unorganized sector. And 90% labor force is there. And so how all this innovation and smart technologies, deep data, all this can be employed to give access to all these people, give inclusion to all these people, then definitely there is a possibility of sustainable development. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. I know Nihar, I think you wanted to make a comment, so please go ahead.
Just a quick comment.
Sure.
Just adding to what he said right now, I would like to add that in India today, maximum exposure is with 2-year-olds because mothers are working in the kitchen and cell phones are your de facto babysitters. So they put on a video or something with the cell phone and hand it over to the child, and the child keeps playing with it. I want to bring up the fact that by 2030, they expect 50% of all children to have autism spectrum disorders. This is something which is it's a huge problem going forward. And if we want to build a sustainable environment in a country which is vibrant and healthy, we need to address the issue of electromagnetic radiation as a society correctly. Thank you.
Fair point. Any other thoughts before?
So, like I had mentioned, I think there are a lot of problems in India,
Right.
and that is a lot of opportunities for our engineers, our future generation to sort of go ahead and solve. But at the same time, I think there should be more. I mean, accelerators like Brigade Reap have done a huge. I mean, we have also been benefited by a lot of accelerators because that gave us doorways into customers that could not have been accessed
Otherwise,
before.
yeah.
So, but if it could go a little more lower, to the college level, to the institutional level, then we can sort of get entrepreneurs graduating, not just
No,
professionals.
I think absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think, tech is a great leveler, but I believe applications coming out of that tech, which can solve real problems, real challenges, be inclusive, and are able to show clear, tangible deliverables, actually win, right? And as I said, I think, you are all working in areas which are not quite, above the surface, if I may say so. But these are all the real problems, managing water, managing sanitation, managing waste, cleaning our river Ganga. I mean, I think these are all challenges which are massive. And I think, just getting challenges, finding technology, finding people who are willing to work using that tech to solve that problem for the greater good, for sustainability and for a greener world is, I think, something that all of us are cognizant here. And I think COVID somewhere, I mean, I can tell you this from experience in the PropTech, the built world and sustainable area, which is where I work a lot in. In the last 8 months, despite COVID, 8 of our startups have gone out and raised funding. Right? A lot of places, startups are actually shutting or sort of collapsing. But PropTech sustainability built world has been a great sector, and you all are talking about it, and you are showing, you know, how traction's, you know, growing for you. Nihar, I know personally, you know, has been growing really, really well. So I think, you know, startups which are working in this area should continue to. I mean, for what it's worth, our applications are open at Brigade Reap. If there are startups who would like to apply, we're getting global startup, not just from India, but all over the world, because I think the problems in developing nations are very different than the problems that are there in the developed nations. And if you can solve it for India, you can solve it for Southeast Asia, you can solve it for Africa, you can solve it for any and every other place in this world, or not just in this subcontinent. So that's where it is. Thank you, Jose, for you know, having us here. We really appreciate it. I had a fantastic time with all of you panelists. I surely learned a lot, and you know, not from just personal side, but I hope each one of us and everybody who's on in the audience sort of has something to take away, not just on the personal wellness, but on how to improve the planetary wellness. So with that, yes, Father, I think you had something.
Yeah, Apul, I had one more comment to make.
Please.
It's wonderful to have all these technologies, deep tech, everything, which is looking more at the environment and making the world comfortable. I'm talking about how we can make every human being comfortable. Can we?
I think it
make
starts
the
there.
Right to every human being, a life of dignity. That is possible with all this technology, deep tech, and everything. I think we would have made very beautiful sustainable.
I am a big proponent of it, and I'm very optimistic. I come from tech background, and I've seen it, and I really believe it's going to happen. But I think if we all work towards it,
So thank you, Apul, and thank you to all. And maybe you can step off from the stage one by one, just to keep our social distancing and other formalities.